Oh, through political correctness, we can't see life as it may be. That world hidden from you and me. I just laugh and start to sing. First, it's sideshow infotainment, politicians and news anchors and talking points that make my eardrums bleed. Oh, that Game of Thrones is what they play. A house of cards just day by day. The voters, they lose in every way. It's just like I always say, it's sideshow infotainment, politicians and news anchors, and talking points that make my eardrums bleed. Yeah. Joe Biden's got quite the past with a Justice Department probe up his ass. He has no regrets, and that's a fact. But it's all a joke, and I'm just laughing last. It's sideshow infotainment, politicians and news anchors, and talking points that make my eardrums bleed. The most trusted puppet in media. Is me. Reporting since Roswell, I'm Sam, Newsman.
I'll tell you the problem with the scientific power that you're using. It didn't require any discipline to attain it. You read what others had done, and you took the next step. You didn't earn the knowledge for yourselves, so you don't take any responsibility for it. I don't think you're giving us enough due credit. The scientists have done things which nobody's ever done before. Yeah, but your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they used everything as they should.
Well, that's right. It's about that time. That time when we talk about what we learned today. What do we learn right out of the gate? Senator Kane is going to have another re-election campaign in 2024. Yeah, nobody cares about that. What else did we talk about? Oh yeah, right. Oh yeah, well, the university's going to ban TikTok. Yeah, well, you know what? If they're going to ban TikTok, then I want to make sure that Wikipedia comes back as a legitimate source. I want that too as well. What else did we find out? Found out a whole bunch of stuff. Oh, yes, that's right. Cancer free in 2023. Shout out to Luke and Miss Mary Murr. Do you remember the Theranos? Do you remember Theranos, Miss Holmes? You remember Theranos, right? They did a whole show about her. Anyway, she tried to flee to Mexico. She tried to flee to Mexico. She bought a one-way ticket to Mexico and she tried to flee, but that didn't happen. So that's not going to. That wasn't going to be the case. Oh no, man, that's really. Do you see about the Alec Baldwin thing? Yeah, Alec Baldwin's getting charged with involuntary manslaughter. So, but is he to blame for her death? I mean, that's the question. Who put the live ammunition round in? Because he said that he didn't pull the trigger, so guns just shoot themselves now. Yeah, they just that's why guns are the bad guys, right? Yeah. It's got to ban guns because guns just shoot themselves off now, I guess. So we'll be interested to see how that always does. GPS is bad for the brain. Using real maps slows down cognitive decline. So if you use a real paper map, it slows you down. I used to love paper maps, especially the topography ones. You kind of look at it and tell where there's mountains and stuff. And they had the little lines and the ridges and all of that. I like a paper map. I do. Of course, you don't need paper maps anymore. You remember MapQuest? It was MapQuest. You would just sit there and type in the MapQuest. Yeah, MapQuest was like the original. Now you just have the GPS on your phone. Some cars actually have a GPS built into the dashboard, like a whole screen and everything. Of course, I always wondered if I actually had a screen in my dashboard. Probably the last thing I would do is watch GPS. I'd be watching movies and TV shows. And what TV show would I be watching? Of course, I'd be watching Velma. Yeah, everybody else is hating on Velma. 1.3 out of 10%. And everybody wants to sit there and hate on Velma. Oh, once again, like I said, it's all the Hollywood hate. Hollywood haterade on cartoons. Listen, I went all over that last segment. But people just want to sit there and just throw shade and hate when we all know that Velma looks just as good as any Pixar movie. So the dialogue is just pristine and amazing. And all of you just don't have any imagination. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous, ridiculous. Let's see here. What else do we have here? Oh, did you see the chatbot? GPT? Yeah, a rabbi in Jerusalem had chatbot write a sermon for him. And then everyone in the congregation thought that he wrote it himself. And when they asked, like, who wrote this sermon? And everybody was like, oh, it was, Rabbi so-and-so. And come to find out, it was the chatbot. So not only are chatbots going to be able to replace lawyers, but it looks like they're going to be able to replace rabbis and priests. That's probably a good thing too. I mean, last thing, I don't know. And then I heard that, what is it? The Republicans are talking about how the chatbot is now woke. At first the chatbot was racist, right? The first chatbot is racist, and now all of a sudden the chatbot is woke. I don't get it. It's just artificial intelligence. Well, people say, well, they can program it. Yeah, but it'll learn itself. It will learn it on itself. What else do we have? East Coast snowless winter leaves businesses feeling heat. What do you mean feeling heat? If there's no snow on the East Coast, it's been snowless here on the East Coast, which is pretty incredible. But people want to sit there and complain. Businesses should be thriving. Of course, businesses are not thriving. Did you hear how many layoffs are happening with Microsoft and all of Silicon Valley? Yeah. Microsoft's laying off 10,000 workers. 10,000 workers being laid off at Microsoft here, while across the pond, they're actually throwing a concert with Sting. Yeah. So think about that for a moment. I wonder how much Microsoft is paying Sting for a concert while they're laying off 10,000 of their employees. Man, that's got to sting, right? You see what I did there? Okay, so there is 1,300 illegal marijuana stores in New York City. What? What are we doing? What are you talking about, man? Are we getting in the car right now? Jerem, what are you doing back there? You better turn the car on. 1,300 illegal marijuana stores in New York City. People say that this just the smell is just wafting everywhere. But I'm telling you what, if I was in New York City, I'd rather smell the smell of cannabis than the smell of hot garbage, which is usually what it smells like up in New York City. Anyways, we'll be back next week at Sam Newsman on Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, all of the above. And we'll be back here next week for the only radio show dedicated to the magic and nostalgia of Saturday morning, hosted by me, a real puppet. From the most trusted puppet in media, reporting since Roswell, I'm Sam Newsman, and this is Saturday Morning.